Okay, right. Next one could be take pride in your tricks.
What do you mean by that?
Now, the reason I've left it open like that is because it doesn't have to just be aesthetic, but you have to care about.
Oh, okay, I get what you mean.
But like for me, taking pride in my tricks is based on aesthetic / combo structure and like all those different.
I'd see that as one.
Yeah.
Like actually, like caring about how you do tricks and what level you trick at. Because some people, you get the whole I just trick for fun crowd, which can sometimes be an excuse for just not putting in much effort and not being very good. Well, because I think you have a lot more fun when you get good at tricks.
Well, I think it's just part of like, for example, my mum used to say to me when I was younger, when I'd be very slovenly, when I was always really sleepy and didn't want to do anything, she'd say, take pride in your appearance.
Okay.
And I think you need to do that with your tricks. And I think a lot of people don't, but they can still get good in terms of level.
But you don't get that good. I think for the best, definitely for cleanliness. I don't think anyone gets clean by accident. I think people only get clean when they want to get clean. You have to actually care about it. You have to be like, you know what? I would like my tricks to look better. You can't just kind of do tricks and expect them to get clean.
Yeah, true. I agree. And the best people at that, like Eduardo and Anise and stuff like that, they've put the most into it.
Yeah.
And they're really good examples. But also, you're a representative of that sport. And it's like...
Oh, we used to talk about that a lot, didn't we? Like trickers which we used to do too, everyone does when they start out. Like, when someone's really bad at tricking and then they do it and tell people they're doing tricking, it makes tricking look really bad.
It does.
Like, we've both done it.
We've done it many times.
Everyone's done it at some point. But I think the goal should be to get out of that zone as soon as possible. Like, even if you're just doing aerial backside 9 hook cart full, like at least do that well. Because when you do that really badly, it makes tricking look shit. It makes it seem like a shit thing to do.
Well, let's have another. Okay, here we go. This is an interesting one. So Nathan Cabrera said,
long time listener,
thou shalt be honest about themselves. Well, okay, essentially, thou shalt be honest with themselves about their tricks. For example, was that really a snafu? Did that trick count? Are you truly conditioning, stretching? I think that's a really, really good one.
That is a really good one.
Because, including even, am I training the right way? Am I training smart enough? Am I being slovenly with my approach? Because I think it means if you catch yourself basically taking responsibility for your shit, and I think that's really important.
I got one.
Go on.
Thou shalt always have patience. I think that's a huge one. Patience is the thing that helps you avoid injuries. It's the thing that helps you stick at tricks that aren't working out and eventually like land them. It's the thing that allows you to build the style you want.
Okay.
Because if you don't have that patience, then you're gonna end up defaulting back to what's easy and what feels natural, which is something I've done a lot over the years. It's something I don't do anymore. I've made a point of just working on the tricks that are building the style that I really want. And that means you sacrifice something for that. You get like less praise. Like if I posted videos of me doing gainer switches going forwards across a lane, me doing 10 switches to dub without traveling, me doing 15 switches to dub, me doing a load of switch trips, then I get loads of likes. People would be like, oh, you're killing it. And I could do that because I understand I can do switches stuff. I can do a lot with them. I could do 20 switches. People would be like, whoa, 20 switches. But it wouldn't build me the style that I really wanted. So, but that's kind of a different thing. But it does take more patience because I could just get that clip and get that like praise and gratification really quick. Whereas if I have the patience to build something like really good, that's doing tricks that I really want to do, not just the tricks I'm good at, or the tricks I find easy, the tricks I really want to do, that takes patience. Well, and I think, I agree with everything that you said, but I think that should be a different thing. And the reason for it is because I think you should be impatient at points, but it's knowing when to be patient and how far to push that. Depends what you mean by impatient.
Well, because if I wasn't as impatient as I was to get better, I wouldn't have pushed as hard.
It's not necessarily impatience. Because I know what you mean by that, and you mean like in that session you're like, I want to land this trick today, and you're trying your best to do it. Like I think you can still do that, but if you didn't have patience, then you wouldn't keep doing that session after session for like years to get a trick. Or to get a combo, or to build a style.
But that's what I'm
like,
saying,
that's what the patience is. Like on the daily, obviously you want to do the best you can, but some people don't even last a whole session trying something.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, and then definitely not like multiple sessions working on something they struggle with.
No, that makes sense.
And the patience normally comes in with the things you find hard. Like,
but the reason I said I don't think you should always have patience is because there was a definite feeling of being impatient, and it was because of that I was like, everything needs to happen now. And that's why I would go to the session every single day, and I was pushing it farther than I think
that's kind of, yeah, I know what you mean, but I think that's more the way you look at it. I think that's pushing your hardest doesn't necessarily mean you being impatient. Like being impatient would be going for stuff when you're really not ready for it.
I did that as well.
Yeah, we all did. Or giving up on things really fast.
Okay.
Like if I hadn't become more patient and changed my approach a bit, I wouldn't be able to touchdown race to this day. Because in order for me to do it, I had to be really bad at it every single session for months and months on end, while still trying my best every session. So I was impatient in the fact that every session I was like, I want to do it the best I've ever done it. But patient in the fact that I stuck at it for months and months. Otherwise I would have, because in the past, in the 5 years leading up to that, I'd always tried it a couple sessions, given up, tried some other stuff, and then left it.
I mean, I get it. I just see it from both angles. And
So
we can have that,
Next commandment.
This one I don't agree as well.
Go on, read out.
It says, thou shalt diversify your tricks and stop only doing what you're already good at. I agree with stagnancy. Like if you're only doing the same things and you're not pushing yourself with those
You're
things.
not upgrading them.
Yeah. But still, that's the only way you really get to a level of mastery.
Yeah.
Because you might do the same combo over and over again. And one person might look at it and think, oh, you're just doing the same shit. And then they're not actually progressing. They're just doing a lot of tricks badly. But then at the end of the year, the thing that you've been doing that you've only been doing is mad high level and it looks incredible, and then you can take that and it makes other tricks easier.
Yeah, and I think the music analogy is the best one for that, and it's something we've talked about before, but when I started tricking back in 2010, it used to be like one of the main things. People would always be saying, well, you need to be well-rounded, or this guy's so well-rounded. When you look back now, a lot of the people who are well-rounded then, no one remembers at all, because it means you're not the best at anything. It means you're not pushing any area forward. And if you enjoy that, then like being well-rounded, if that's your thing, then fair enough. But in terms of actually being able to cover some new ground, which I think is the most exciting thing in tricking, doing combos that no one's ever done, or doing them in a way no one's ever done them, you're only going to do that if you specialize to some extent. Imagine a musician played every single type of music. They wouldn't ever become like one of the best musicians making the best songs. The people who make the best songs have their genre or a couple of genres. They get really good at them. They don't try and play every single instrument. And that's what it'd be like. If you want to do every trick and be completely all-rounded, you're like some guy trying to play every instrument. You might be able to play them, but you're not going to be good at any of them.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
You're not going to throw Cristiano Ronaldo in goal, are you? Just because he needs to be well-rounded. It's like, you need to cover... Yeah, I think that just kind of gets misconstrued for having a good base. I think you need a good base, but then everybody thinks, well, if you need a good base, then when somebody's getting better at a particular area, everyone's like, well, if he's good at that, but he's shit at that, so he should be better at that. And I think people pass judgment on those kind of things way too quickly.
They do when it doesn't make much sense. Yeah. Because it's like, I don't know, I've seen people talk shit saying like, oh, Bailey Payne's hook kick sucks or whatever. And it's like, would he be able to do wrapped up, hyper, wrapped up, hyper, wrapped up if he was working on hook kick all the time? Wouldn't you rather see him get super good at the thing that only he can do, land stuff that no one else has landed, and specialize and do 28 corks? Wouldn't you rather see that than him being another guy who has a decent hook kick, decent corks, decent raps? Like, isn't it better that he's Bailey Payne?
Well, Nathan said something that I knew somebody would bring up, and he said Guthrie's really well-rounded, and obviously he's really well-known. However, he's 1 in a million.
He started when he was like 5 or 6 years old, had his own gym his whole life. It's like, some people, and the same with musicians. There are some musicians who can start when they're 5 or 6 years old, have all of the best access to like practice, be homeschooled, just focus on what they're doing, and be amazing at loads of instruments. But that's not everyone.
Yeah.
Most trickers start when they're a teenager and they don't have unlimited gym access and aren't homeschooled. They have to do like other things. They can't just only do that.
Well, I just have one more quick thing to say. I just think that's more of this general kind of way of looking at tricks is a more practical approach, because if you are starting later, then there's nothing to stop you from becoming incredible. But I think what you will end up realizing is you do have to specialize at some point, and you can make that specialty as big as you want and with whatever you're capable of doing, but you will find a lot, I think generally you'll find a lot more fulfillment in specializing and getting really fucking good at one particular thing. But
or area, right?
Yeah. But if you want to be well-rounded, then do that. Next thing.
Next commandment.
Okay, people are speaking a different language and I don't understand it. Like literally barely anyone speaking English. There's no.
If there's any English one.
Yeah, no, there's barely any of the comments. Okay, another commandment.
We must be nearly at 10. We are at what, 7?
I feel like 7, yeah.
We're going to go with 7.
Okay.
We'll assume it's 7.
Do you think thou shalt help others? I know that sounds like a bit of a gay...
Help others?
Come on. I know
thou shalt spit on us.
I know it sounds a bit, it's a bit hairy-fairy and I don't know. But I think if you... it's just a really good way to kind of grow yourself and other people.
I don't think you necessarily... I think there's people who don't and get really good at tricks. I don't think you need to.
Wait, what?
I think there's people who don't help others but get really good at tricks.
I think they should though.
Yeah, but this is about what makes you good at tricks. Not what you should do.
But I think it would
be
help as well.
Volunteering at the food kitchen, you know?
Alright,
should be cuddling a homeless person, but you're not.
I do cuddle homeless people. You don't know. You don't know what I'm up to.
Yeah.
In the dark streets of Brighton.
Maybe.
Things went weird when you left, right? Alright, okay. There's a couple of comments here. I really like that you said that. Saying it that way is the best way of starting a good conversation. I always get shit on for doing side flips a lot, but my side flip is the best in my town. Go on, chick.
See, they're jealous of your side flip. But that's the thing, because this is something, people who aren't good at anything will do this a lot. People who aren't good at, they don't have anything that they're actually good at. If someone's really good at something, then they'll try and pick out the things that person's not good at to make themselves feel better. Like, you're not going to find someone who's really good, like someone who, let's say they're amazing at backflips, they're not going to be putting you down. They're going to be like, damn, that guy's side flips are dope.
Yeah.
It's going to be the people who aren't good at anything because they can't appreciate how much work it takes to be good at even one thing.
Yeah, right. So there's another comment here and it's talking about which way to spin, but we'll come back to it once we finish these commandments because I want to talk about it.
Next commandment.
Next commandment.
Thou shalt be courageous.
Yes.
Because fear, like this is one I always tell people when they ask me about fear. Tricking is hard enough if you're not scared.
I think it should be thou shalt not be a little bitch.
Thou shalt not be a little bitch.
Yeah, I think that's...
Pretty much. I think it's perfectly okay. It's okay to be scared of rational fears. If you're scared of something because there's a big chance you'll get injured, fair enough. But if you're someone who's scared to go for like a cork when you've already landed cork in the past like 50 times, that's not okay. You won't get good. Like, you just can't allow yourself to do that. Be scared of things that are worth being scared of. If it's a movement you don't understand at all, you should be scared of it. And you should practice drills and progressions that make you less scared of it until you go for it. But if it's something that you've already done, or you know you can definitely do, then you can't be being scared of it, or you just won't get that good. It's hard enough anyway. If you have no fear, tricking is still hard. So you can't be doing that. It just won't work out.
It's just going to make your life way harder.
Yeah, you got to get past it.
If you're going to do something like this, you need to just accept it. Just accept that you need to get over these pussy fears, and that's just the easiest way to do it.
Because it is a choice, and it's like, I know people deny it. There'll be some people watching who are thinking, yeah, but I'm scared and I just can't make myself do it. And it's like, but you can. And the more you tell yourself you can't make yourself do it, the harder it's going to be. And I'm not saying make yourself do something dangerous, but if you can assess the risk and be like, there's very little chance of me getting hurt. Let's say you're going into a foam pit, then you shouldn't be scared. You got to just do it.
And this is where the delusional self-belief comes in. Because if you can look at it logically and you're still scared, then if you're delusional enough to go, but if you're delusional enough to override that fear, which is essentially what you have to do, because it can still be there, even if you're looking at it logically. But then if you overcome it, because you're like, no, I can fucking do it, then done deal.
Yeah. Like for me, something recently that scared me, because I'm not normally scared of flips anymore. When you've done it for a long time, it's not really scary anymore. But because of me breaking my ankle and tearing my ligaments, I was quite scared to be going for triple cork outside on like mulch. Because I was like, well, what if I do it wrong and I land short and I injure my ankle again and I'm in pain for 2 more years and I can't do the thing I want to do for however many months while I'm recovering, and because of my age, maybe it will never feel strong again. So I'm battling all of that in my head before I go for it. But then after prepping and having enough knowledge of the move from what I've done in the past, then I was able to say to myself, even if this goes pretty wrong, my ankle's strong enough, I have enough air awareness to not get hurt too badly. I might just get hurt a little bit. Yeah. So when I assessed the risk and thought there's probably only a 5% or even less chance that I'll actually get a major injury for this, then I just went at 100%, not thinking about any chance of injury, 100% commitment. Whereas if I made that assessment and there was a 50% chance I'd be out for months or a year, then I wouldn't try it. Yeah. So you've got to like judge it like that. Like I was still scared, but I made myself do it because I assessed the risk and it was fine for me to go for. If you're assessing the risk and it's fine and you don't go for it, that's a problem. And you can't let yourself do that.
Yeah. And also if you do make that decision to not let the fear stop you from doing it, it's all the more important that you don't let that affect the way that you do it. This is why you need to have that belief, because otherwise, if you're scared and you're like, you're trying to commit to it, but you know you're not gonna, then it's going to increase the risk of injury.
Yeah.
So, yeah. For the last commandment, I think...
What do you think it should be? What's key? Is there anything we haven't mentioned that's key to getting good at tricks? What does Shosei and Zen do? Have fun. That's one. That's it.
Nah, that's gay.
Nah. It is gay. It is gay. But tricking is gay. So no. I think have fun. Thou shalt, maybe not always, but you should try to. Thou shalt always have fun. Because if you don't have fun, you're not gonna stick it out and keep training for a decade. And it takes like a decade or more to truly become like, well, I mean, so if you're a kid and you have unlimited gym access, you could probably do it in like 4 or 5 years, like the Japanese. But if you start later, or maybe you just don't have that good access, or you don't have good people around you, it's probably going to take a good decade for you to get really good. And you're only going to stick it out if you do actually enjoy what you're doing. So I think that is key. I don't think anyone gets really good at tricking without genuinely having fun. You've got to enjoy it. Maybe sometimes you don't enjoy it that much because it's going badly, but most of the time, at least like 80-90% of the time, you should be having fun. Yeah. Or you're not gonna keep doing it, and you need to keep doing it to get good. So
yeah, and just the whole positive mindset kind of thing. If you're having fun with it, then you're likely to make bigger gains because of the way your brain will work and the way your brain will approach things. And yeah, that's it. But someone did say, what about flex and strength? We haven't mentioned any of that.
We haven't. But
I think one of the
definitely not. Said. I don't think strength should be in there, because I think that's covered in other things. Like with just the approach to training tricks, tricking regularly and all of that, tricking in a safe and patient way. And yeah, but flexibility is key, but some people get really good without stretching. Like Kyle doesn't stretch.
I wouldn't recommend it though.
But people do get really good without stretching.
I think it should also. I think if you also look at these commandments.
I don't think Nick Fry stretches. Well, he didn't. I know he didn't used to. Nick Fry didn't stretch.
I think he does.
He probably. Yeah. People do when they get older.
But I think this should be something. If we're setting these 10 commandments, I think these 10 commandments should be something that other people could look at and go, I'm going to do that because they're there. And I think it's a really good thing for people to do that.
Well, we might have only done 9 because we can't count, so...
yeah, I lost track. Because we keep veering off and talking about some other shit.
Let's say that's the 10th. Okay. Thou shalt always stretch. Always. I aim to stretch like 2 or 3 times a day, and that means I always stretch at least once a day. And when I stretch once a day, I'm like, oh, I haven't stretched enough. Whereas when I tried to stretch once a day in the past, then sometimes I'd miss it and I'd stretch once every 2 or 3 days. So aim for 3 times a day, and then you'll definitely stretch at least once. That's